lot of things online are saying how your business, how your company or your employers treat you now is a huge message for the future. Because in the crisis is how you can determine, well, who are you?
Taking movies, decoding their message, and applying them for personal growth. This is Decrypted Films Podcast. And now your host, speaker, communicator, Jag DeWar, joined by his brothers, filmmaker Max Sainville and music producer Billy Sainville.
Welcome to season 2 of Decrypted Films Podcast. We are excited. I'm so happy that we went through a season 1 of just movies that we are passionate about speaking on. And again, what we do here is we decode movies to use it for personal growth in any area of our lives. And I'm here with both of my brothers, Max Sainville. He is a filmmaker. Billy Sainville. Mark Sardu is a music producer, writer, artist. And I am Jag DeWar, communicator, speaker. And we have a movie today that is a little different from the movies we've done in the past. It is Mall Cop. Mall Cop is a comedy. It's so funny, so good. What did you guys think about that movie?
It was funny. I forgot how funny that movie was.
Yeah, for real.
Definitely was. I had crazy moments.
Yeah, it was refreshing just to see all over again. So.
Honestly, I was dying. I was dying at certain parts because, like you said, I forgot how good this movie was. I don't remember when it came out, but I just thought this thing was hilarious. 2009, man, that's
a long time.
That's 12, well, not 12, 11 years, 10 years.
It don't feel like that, though.
Nah.
It felt like 5 years ago.
Yeah, and it's so good. The quality is so good. It's just like, it was hilarious. So if you haven't seen this movie, we're not going to mess up too much for you. We are going to just straight up talk about things. So I would advise watching the movie just for entertainment, but it's amazing. So let's get into it. What we're going to do is we're going to each pick a part about the movie that really touched us in a way where we can say, yo, let's use that for personal growth for our lives. And so I don't know if you guys want to jump in first. Season 1, first point. Anybody want to get into something that hit them the most?
I definitely want to start it off with being where we're at right now in 2020 and things like that. The movie basically starts off with him and the mall. They're basically prepping for a big holiday.
Yeah, that's true. Black Friday coming up.
So they're prepping up for this big season, big situation, and then boom, everything just switches on them.
Wow. I didn't think about that. That's
now,
great.
The same thing with us. How many people were like, 2020 is here. I can't wait. Once 2020, I'm about to kill this game. And then poof, boom.
Dang,
100.
That's so true. That's a perfect example, yo.
So, I mean, this movie couldn't have come in at any more clutcher time than to realize that that's the situation we're in right now.
I mean, like all these stores in that mall were getting ready to get paid out, like big money. And
absolutely.
Preparing all your stock, your products. I mean, dang, yo, that's such a good point. And then somebody came in with their own plan.
The great thing is, in paralleling to basically what's going on with 2020, is what carried them through that whole movie was communication, going through the phones and texting. And these are things that they had to do because they always kept distance from each other, but they were all still able to help each other in so many different ways. You know what I'm saying? Based on what you're saying. The boyfriend that was so obsessed about his girl that broke up, like he was a big factor. He never even seen the mall cop's face, and he was able to contribute and help that person, So like, just in technology. And that was done years ago, and this is what we're going through right now.
Gosh, that's such a good point, because the fact that they shut down the mall, Paul Blart couldn't communicate with the hostages unless he had the phone. But to that point, I forgot the boyfriend's name, man. That you said played a huge factor. I don't want to mess up his name. Yeah. I don't want to mess it up. But the part that hit me the most was the fact that even though, yes, the technology was there, they first had like a heart to heart. Like they connected human to human. So one thing I'm not liking today in this whole situation, the COVID-19 and all that, is that some people are forgetting about the human to human thing. Yes, social distancing, of course, being safe, being wise. But I'm hearing people that I know who work in the banks, and the bankers are not even talking to people coming in. And that one person I know who works there, he's like, yo, what's the point? Like, yo, say hi, say what's up. You keeping your distance, you're doing that, but you can't just, how's your day going or something. So I feel like we need to even more now bring that human aspect of, yo, can I help? Can I contribute while we're not locked up, away from each other. So how you guys feeling about the climate right now as far as the human connection, because we have this situation going on?
I haven't really been exposed to stories like that and things that are going on, because I've been kind of behind closed doors, and the only thing that I've been noticing is people not listening and not really staying safe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And still going out and partying and doing, things like that, and just going out of their way. That's what I've been noticing. And of course, the heroes of workers who are trying to save lives and things like that, appreciating, those. And that's kind of where it's at. It's like a mix and match. People trying to save, but then you have those who are not, abiding by the rules.
For real.
Communication wise and trying to get that personal connection. I just take that in an aspect of what I started doing, and it was just off of instinct of someone would call me or text me, and I'm like, yo, you know what? Yo, FaceTime me. Like, let me see you, because I just want to see somebody's eyes. I'm tired of reading texts and words and hearing people's voices, not having an image in front of me. And I'm, in the house all day. So that is the closest experience I could feel as if I'm talking to somebody, which brings me back to that boyfriend character of how he would just randomly call the mall cop and be like, hey, I just wanted to say hi. And,
that's
get
true.
more of that personal connection, because he had that personal connection from the beginning. But obviously the mall cop was in the middle of trying to, save hostages and all that good stuff.
One thing, like to your point about just going from text to, let's just FaceTime. What I feel like one thing that's happening during this time is we have the time now to do that, like, make the FaceTime. But technically we had the time before. It's just now I feel like, when or if things get back to normal, or maybe it's just a new normal or whatever it's going to be, I feel like a lesson to be learned is that we can make the time to connect in a meaningful way, rather than just being on this focus of like, gotta meet my goals, gotta accomplish, gotta finish deadline, which sure we have to do. But when everything, like, I love it when all the pillars fall, the last thing we guys have is just people like connecting. And now even that's harder to do. Now we're valuing that even more. Even the introverts are valuing that, like just the human connection. So I feel like that's what this is doing. So back with the movie, man, they were ready for something, and then everything changed. And I guess I don't know if you were going somewhere with this, Billy.
Not necessarily, but I was basically gonna say that some people are in that situation who might have been wanting to start something in 2020. Like even myself, I know I was getting ready to start a business, but that has to be pushed back a little more because of what happened. But in the same time, there's other people out there who wanted to get something started, and all of a sudden, this catastrophe happened to our world, and now where are we?
So I guess my question would be, what mentally for the both of you, with the plans being disrupted as it is, how are you handling that? You said you were about to get a business launching and going. I know it was going to be for the summer, and you had like game plan that you've been working for probably like a year now. Now it's pushed back. How are you handling that?
I didn't take it as a disruption. I actually took it as more time for me to fine tune it and to tackle some strategic ways to see how I can make what I have better, to present it better. So I'm always going to take advantage of what the cards that are given to me.
Yeah.
So I really didn't take it as a negative, but as a positive. So that's really how I'm tackling it. So I didn't even really start it yet. So there was really no loss for me.
Gotcha. And Max, what about you?
Yeah, same thing with me. I had some great plans that I wanted to execute throughout 2020, in quarters as well. But obviously the whole crisis that we're going through halt the production aspect of things, but the idea to make things a lot better of what I had, it just gave me more time to develop that even better, and also gave me a time to basically create new ideas that I never would have thought about if we didn't go through this crisis ever.
True,
and it just shows the talent that we're all blessed with creatively to always be able to come up with great things to help people get through what they're currently going through as artists in any field that we're in. So
it sometimes takes the breaking of a pattern or taking something away, which a lot of things were taken away from us because we couldn't have the human connection or stores or things like that. It takes those things being taken away for us to get our minds working again. And I love how you said you not only had your plan and you said you're looking at it again, but now you're being even more creative. And I would say for myself, what this has done for me with my plans and my goals, like I kind of started early in the year or end of last year of what I wanted to do. And with this happening, I too, just like you, Billy, I too just like, hey, maybe we can make this better. But then, like you said, Max, like more ideas came because it's like, all right, even though I can't approach it this way, but dang, that gives me enough to be able to approach it this way. Oh, I didn't think of that. Let's put some more focus on this area. So I'm not going to act like we know everybody's situation, people losing their jobs, people not getting paid and everything like that. But honestly, what else do you have to grab on other than just trying to make work what you have? Some people feel like their pride is being hit. Like maybe they gotta figure out how to, I can't live here, I can't afford here anymore, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. So it kind of shows yourself. A lot of things online are saying how your business, how your company or your employers treat you now is a huge message for the future. Because in the crisis is how you can determine, well, who are you? Who are you and who are you? And let's go back to this movie. In the crisis, when those bad guys shut down the mall, locked it up, and held the hostages, the other security guard, other than Paul Blart, the other security guard, once the opposition came where I think they kind of threatened him, he just left.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, I'm out. And it's just like, yo, I can see your true colors now. Before he seemed like the superior person over Paul Blart. Like, yo, man, sit down, shut up, just clock in. We don't want to hear all that, trying to get paid. Like he seemed like the higher guy. But then when it came down to it, when it came down to this disruption, he just dipped out because he wasn't committed. He wasn't as committed to the job like Paul Blart was. And so I feel like this is showing people's true colors.
And remind me, in the corporate world, like a lot of people are very robotic in what they do daily from 9 to 5. Like they're in a robotic system. They go in, they clock in, they do the same thing. They're not trying to be innovative or contribute in any way into their job. Like the mall cop person was like, yo, I created this plan to be able to do this. And it was like, yo, like you said, just clock in and keep it moving. Like you saw that vividly, that he didn't really care about his job, about anyone else, but just to clock in, be a robot, and clock out.
Yeah, I mean, and it showed because Paul, I guess he wanted to go the extra mile, because you're not going to get that big reward that you're looking for from doing the minimum. And when he was like, why don't you just clock in and clock out like the rest of us? That just basically means that it's almost like you're paying for a loan and you're just paying the minimum. It feels like that loan's never going to get paid.
Yeah.
But once you play that extra, you're going to get back what you put in, and you're going to arrive to that day that you're looking for. But if you're doing the minimum, that day is probably going to take forever or never come. So
I feel like what you're saying is like you're saying, you know, either you're paying the minimum or you're paying more so that that day would come or whatever. You're positioning yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel like Paul Blart positioned himself even though he didn't. And the way he positioned himself was his passion and commitment. Like, obviously, we were just talking about he did more than expected. He created his own oath. Because they were like, yeah, you know, I had an oath. I said that I would this, and that. And his boss was like, we never created an oath. Like, what are you talking about? He said, well, I made it myself. And I know it's supposed to be funny, but man, like the commitment, the passion caused him to do these extra things. Not only was he committed and passionate, he balanced it with being committed and passionate to people, because he knew when things were a little weird, nobody was in the mall. He's like, usually Scott has the donuts out by now, or usually he's connecting with everyone. And so why I say he was in a great position, because of those key factors: passion, commitment, and connecting with people. When the mall was being shut down, where was he? He was in the arcade, and he was only in the arcade because he had a relationship with the owner of the arcade. They said, hey, can you close the arcade for me while I go to the bank? So he gets in there, and he whatever he does, he's passionate about. He goes all in. So he's playing the guitar video game, and he's in the zone, which we'll talk about later, but I want to stay with this point. He was in a position to put himself where he can not only contribute for himself, but he was able to help everybody. He was a hero of the movie, obviously, but that was only because he put himself in the right position, using passion, commitment, and connecting to people, actually caring for people. Yeah, I really want to hear your thoughts about those key things, like putting yourself in the position. What do you guys think about when it comes to that? When, like, I know you already spoke on that, Billy, but Max, your thoughts on putting yourself in the position, even though he didn't know, no one expected this to happen, but what he was contributing to, when it came down to it, that was huge. Like, that was needed. Like, how should we be thinking?
I mean, putting yourself in a position could be so many things. By just prepping yourself daily, not just with what you study, but also resting, also entertaining yourself, and juicing yourself with energy daily in whatever way, shape, or form you do. Obviously, Paul had some sort of disease. He needs basically to get back to life. He needs some sugar. So I kind of metaphorically almost want to use that as what you were saying to get yourself in position.
Position yourself.
So, like, what do we do to position ourselves to get back into position? Like, how do we step away to get the sugar we need, get the energy we need to get back ourselves in a position? Because you see that he was talking to everyone, and then he just got weak and fell down. And the sugar gave him that energy to be able to carry through and continue whatever journey that he was continuing. I mean, that's just one way of trying to get yourself in position, just finding that juice you need to get you to where you need to get to.
That's a good point, yo. Because it's like I know it's the health issue that he had, that he needed the sugar, and obviously, but think about that though, is that he had to be diagnosed with that, right? To be able to know, like, hey, here's the problem. The doctor tells you need sugar, so what you want to do is have something with you so that you can put it in you. So it's like, do we do enough diagnosis with ourselves? Like, do we?
I don't want to jump in, but I don't think so. Like, going back to what placed him in a position of playing the guitar and having fun, like, you need that in a 9-to-5 day at work. Like, you can't just be working. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need that hour lunch of really be able to take time to yourself. You need that personal moment, that entertainment, whatever way, shape, or form, just so you could be in a position to be able to jump back into whatever you're doing and not being clock worked.
Yeah, he was
society,
and he was bummed out at that time. And then the store owner was like, "Hey, man, you look a little down. Video games will help you out. Play a game." So I mean, that's a good point. But what you're saying is like I want to get to that point of studying yourself. Like you're studying and evaluating yourself so you can see how you can hack your own self, because the hack for him was the little candy stuff with him. He always had it. He always put it in his mouth whenever he felt low. Even though he didn't know what would pick him up, somebody else around him who he was connected with gave him advice like, yo, just go play a game. And he's like, all right, I'll go. But it helped. So it's just like allowing yourself to study yourself, hack yourself, but then having people around you who can actually contribute to like, yo, what hack do you need for your life? Because you're bummed out right now. Why don't you try this? I feel like you're covering all ends, and I just love that, man.
And what was the words that you used? What was it? Commitment and
passion, commitment, positioning yourself.
Yeah, I think what he also did there was he kind of positioned himself to know that he was enough to at least get it started. Like when you were speaking about him creating the oath and things like that, this was all through his passion. And so one of the things that I think he positioned himself to believe is when he was training the other guy, he's like, we don't have a gun, but we have our voices. And he's like, our mind is the only weapon that we need, and it doesn't have a holster. You know what I mean? So that's one way that we need to position ourselves in the dreams and stuff that we want to chase. We may not have this or that to make us feel like we're in a position of quote unquote where we need to be. But if we understand that us alone having that we're enough to start, and to our passion, our commitment, our things like that. If we can position ourselves to believe that, okay, we are worthy of chasing this dream, then we're pretty much set.
It's true. You think about the holster, I almost think like he's saying it's not limited. Like it's not confined to something, that you can open up your mind in creative ways, because they could have been like, man, we ain't got a gun. Like, we're not trying to be an authority. Like, all right, forget it. Like, stop that. All right, you don't want to stop, whatever. He's like, nah, like use your voice, like use your creativeness, do something. And he always went at a situation, even though it was awkward, he always went at it with passion and commitment, while the trainee was just kind of like, listen, they're not going to listen to us, so just leave it alone. And the other guys was just like, forget it. But I love that. He always went at it with passionate, man.
Well, one thing, and hopefully I can say this right, we're placing yourself in the right position. I think he was trying to do the best he could do, thinking that there was another level he could go. He always wanted to be a police officer. He always wanted to prep himself to go to the next step. So I'm pretty sure he carried himself to the best ability to be the best security officer he can be. And then he realized that, you know what? I placed myself in this position so much and so well that I don't even want to go to that, because they need me here. I have to finish something here. Because I basically put something together that they didn't have before. So who knows? Maybe he would have stayed there for another year or two and then move to wherever he needs to do. But there's a season for things.
That's true.
And that he was in a season, I was like, yo, I'm not leaving this yet.
Yeah, and he could have been bummed out. He wanted to be a police officer. He wasn't. And he was there. He could have been like, yo, like, this is not what I want. I'm not going to be. But he allowed that time to be the training, like to build him up, to do this and that. And it grew him. And he came up with strategies and everything. So it's like, yes, we probably don't get what we want, but at the moment, the season, like you said, we can maximize it, because when it does come, it was offered to him and he probably would have killed it. He had an option now. It went from trying to achieve the police officer position to now having the option to say, take it or not. And so that was all his hard work and dedication to a place where he didn't want to be at first. But because he was committed to get better, it allowed him to give him more options. So I love the idea of not allowing the season that you're in. Like everyone hearing, there's going to be times where we're in places we don't want to be. We're in, and our status is not where we want to be. We don't have what we want to have, but we maximize now. It'll allow us to have options for later. So I think we should follow that example. One thing I want to get on is the guitar, man. When he was in the arcade, and he locked up the store and everything, and he was playing some of the video games. I just love the fact that he didn't allow the outside stuff to interrupt what he was doing. And so when I think about it, the game, you have the electric guitar and then you got to play it. You know, you can just press the buttons and you'll be fine to play it. But he not only pressed the buttons, he got into it. He allowed his whole mind, body, and soul to get into the game, so much so that it was blasting, and all the chaos outside wasn't
canceled.
It wasn't even getting into his ear. So the volume was up in what he was doing. He was focused on what he was doing. He didn't allow the noise from outside, the chaos, to say, yo, stop what you're doing. And not only did that allow him to continue to do it, he, again, back to what we were saying, when it was done, he wasn't affected by the chaos, but he was able to contribute because he got fulfilled within himself in that arcade. Like he allowed himself to you think about it, people would have been like, yo, that's so messed up. You so focused on doing that when you could have helped people. But he's more of a help because he was selfish. It's like, I got to build myself back up so I can contribute better. Had he stopped and been like, yo, there's a chaos going on, he would have been just like the other people out the building and can't contribute to the situation, can't contribute to other people. But at that time, he was selfish enough to build himself up, then come out and be able to contribute. So that's the guitar scene. I love that scene.
About that guitar scene, him being selfish to rebuild himself to be able to help people. I've noticed that he's done that a few times throughout the movie, selfishly and unselfishly. And one of the unselfish ways was when he wanted to go help rescue everyone that's in the bank. The FBI, James Kent, called him, and the first thing he was like, oh, you're a loser, you're this, you're that, you're that. That was like almost like the noise in the background, just trying to distract him from what he was trying to do. You know what I'm saying? But he blocked all that and just kept going straight down the mall just to go do what he has to do.
Yeah.
So I think there were a lot of great moments where we seen that guitar carried out throughout the whole film.
I agree, yo. I so agree. And so to your point, going in there, because he had the opportunity to leave, right? Remember when he first was in there, he realized what was going on. He had the opportunity to leave, but then when he was walking out of the mall, he looked into the parking lot and he saw Amy's car still there. He knew that, yo, she's stuck in there. And so what I love is that, back to what you're saying, he blocked out the noise. He kept pursuing what he wanted, but he had something in there. Something was in his goal that pushed past the challenges that were to come. He knew there were bad guys with guns and that he could get hurt or killed, but he put something way past that pushed him past it, where that girl that he likes is in there. And so I love that. To your point, is that was another thing. The noise was, hey, don't go back in there. Like, it's cool. He's like, no, forget that. I'm only hearing the fact that the girl that I like is in there. I gotta go help her. And I think that was awesome. To your point, that being in the zone takes blocking out that noise and making sure something louder within yourself is pushing you. If you enjoyed the great content from this episode, share this with somebody who could use it. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. We would greatly appreciate it. And thank you for joining us on the Decrypted Films Podcast. Catch you on the next one.